Med school has endless material, endless flashcards, endless books, endless lectures, and if you have ever felt like you're drowning in all of it, you're not alone. When I started, I thought maybe I just need the perfect method, but guess what? There is no perfect method, there's only what works for you. I studied through the night, I memorized non-stop, I sacrificed sleep, I thought effort alone would carry me through. But I failed, and it shook me to the core. Because in med school, failure doesn't just feel like a bad grade, it feels like your whole future is slipping away. And after a lot of trial and error, I finally built a study routine that's not only effective, but also realistic. Not for robots, for humans like you and me. Today I'll walk you through it step by step, and I promise if you stick with me, you'll walk away with a clearer path and maybe a little more hope. Part 1. The Getting to Know stage. Let's start with what I call the getting to know stage. Think of it like meeting a new person. When you meet a friend, you don't memorize their entire life story on the first day. You just try to understand who they are. That's exactly how I approach a new topic. Number 1. Creating the big picture. Before diving into every little detail, I zoom out. What's the main storyline of this subject? For example, when I studied physiology of the heart, I didn't start with all the ion channels and action potentials. I started with the simple question, what does the heart actually do? From there, I built my mental map. It pumps blood, why that matters, how it connects to the rest of the body. Only then do the details have a place to stick. Here's a tip. Try drawing a super simple diagram before you start memorizing. Nothing artistic, just boxes and arrows. That alone helps you see the system, not just random facts. I still remember the first time I did this with a kidney. I had 200 flashcards waiting for me and I almost gave up before starting, but I just sketched blood goes in, filtration, reabsorption, urine goes out. That little drawing became the anchor for every card after. Without it, I'd be lost. Number 2, no repetition madness. Here's when I'm a bit controversial. I don't use spaced repetition. Don't get me wrong, it's powerful and it works for many people. But here's the problem. For one exam, I might have over 1,000 flashcards. If I had to review them over and over again, I'd never see the light of day. I'd wake up buried in cards and never actually move forward. Here's my approach. I take each card seriously, right in the moment. Instead of relying on reviewing it 10 more times, I focus on really understanding and memorizing it now. It's a deeper, slower approach, but it keeps me sane. Of course, you have to revise it once or twice again. It's like packing a suitcase. Instead of throwing everything in and checking 10 times, I carefully fold it once, place it where it belongs, and trust it's there. Number 3, no perfectionism. And maybe the most important rule, drop perfectionism. You will never memorize everything, and that's not a failure, that's reality. Medicine is too big for one brain to hold in perfect detail. I focus on what's truly important, the things that matter for exams and for practice. For example, I might not memorize every single cytokine pathway, but I'll know the key ones that show up clinically, and that's enough. Here's the truth. Med school will constantly whisper in your ear, you're not doing enough, you're behind, you're forgetting, but being a doctor isn't about memorizing every fact. It's about being able to think, to connect, and to keep going even when you're overwhelmed. That's why this phase matters. Part 2, the memorization phase. Once I've built a big picture, I've moved into memorization, and here's what my routine really flips things around. Most people spend 70% of their time on input, reading, highlighting, listening, and maybe 30% on output, like testing themselves. I do the opposite, 30% input, 70% output, because here's the secret. You don't really know something until you can pull it out of your head under pressure. Number 1, the blank paper method. This is brutal but powerful. I take a blank sheet and write down everything I know from memory. No notes, no peeking, just me and my brain. It's uncomfortable. You realize really fast what you don't know. But that's the point. That pain of recall, that's where the learning happens. If it's too much to fit on a paper, I type it out in Word. The key is force your brain to produce, not just consume. Number 2, speaking out loud. Another tool I swear by, talking out loud. I pretend I'm explaining to a friend or sometimes even to a patient. If I can't explain nephron function in simple terms, then I don't actually understand it. Speaking forces clarity, and trust me, your brain will feel the difference between silent thinking and actual speaking. Number 3, solving problems. Next comes practice questions. Whether self-made or past exam questions, this is battlefield. This is where theory becomes practice. Even if I get things wrong, and I often do, it's never wasted. Every wrong answer is an opportunity to strengthen the weak link. I don't just memorize the right answer, I ask, why was I wrong? What was I missing? That reflection is where growth happens. Part 3, no Pomodoro, just flow. There's one more thing I want to share, my study rhythm. You've probably heard of the Pomodoro method. 25 minutes of focus, 5 minutes of break, and yes, it works for many people, but for me, I don't use it. Here's why. I study by flow. When I can focus for 10 minutes, I give those 10 minutes everything I've got. And when I hit that zone, when I really enter the flow, I can go for 2 or 3 hours straight, and the time flies by. Stopping because a timer told me to, that kills the magic. So my advice is, go with your flow. If today all you can give is 5 minutes, then do 5 minutes. Try again tomorrow. And if tomorrow you fall into deep focus, don't interrupt it, ride the wave for as long as you can. Over time, you'll find your own rhythm. Some days short, some days long, but it will be yours. And that's far more powerful than forcing yourself into someone else's structure. Part 4. Realism and compassion. And finally, the mindset. Let's be honest, you will have bad days. Days where nothing sticks, where you feel behind, where you just want to give up. And that's okay. Discipline doesn't mean crushing yourself. It doesn't mean pushing when you're drowning. True discipline is showing up again tomorrow, even if today was a disaster. Compassion isn't weakness, it's fuel. It's what allows you to keep going for years, not just weeks. And med school is a marathon, not a sprint. So that's my study routine. Big picture first, no perfectionism, no endless repetition, then 30% input, 70% output, blank papers, speaking out loud, practice problems, and above all, realism and compassion. And finally, no timer, no rigidity, just flow. If you take one thing away from this, let it be this. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to memorize everything. You just need the system that keeps you moving step by step at your pace. I hope this video gave you something useful, maybe even a little relief, and if it did, let me know in the comments, and remember, you're not alone. We're all climbing the same mountains. Keep going, and I'll see you at the top.
Your parents came in the cul-de-sac, leaned back in a leather-clad seat, pack of spirits in your Prada bag, suburban summer 17.